All right. Welcome to the inaugural episode of the Leaf the Lights On podcast, featuring your host, Nicholas Principe.
And Luca Tersini.
So our podcast is going to be mainly focused on the Leafs, what's going on with the Leafs, their seasons so far, that type of stuff. We're also going to touch on the big stuff around the NHL, free agent signings, trades, injuries, God rest, deaths. But let's just start. Let's start with
Let's get into it.
Matthews' captaincy. That's a big one.
It's one of the big ones.
One of the biggest things to touch on in this Leafs offseason is that captaincy change between Tavares and Matthews. Now, what are your thoughts on it? Because I got a quite big opinion on this.
No, I think it was time, really. Tavares, I think it was 5 or 6 seasons now where, he was the captain of this team, and, in an off season where a lot of fans, like us, were asking to make changes, I think, when it comes down to it, it's in my opinion, a smaller move on what we actually wanted the changes to be. But at the time, I think it's the right move. Matthews is the face of the franchise. Face of the franchise should be your captain.
Yes, face of the franchise should be the captain if they show the leadership in the background. Right?
Yeah.
Now, Matthews has proven that he has shown that leadership, improving his back check and everything, becoming better on the ice and off the ice. Now, my biggest thing is the fact that Tavares has one more year left on his contract, right? His first season with the Leafs, he was given the A. Then the second season, he was given the C. From then, he's been the captain, and he's been the captain on New York. So you're stripping a out-and-out captain, no matter what he did last season, he's still a point-per-game player. You're stripping an out-and-out captain of their captaincy for obviously somebody who is nowhere close to them. I mean, in terms of Matthews is so far above Tavares in terms of skill level.
No, I know what you mean. Yeah,
but I just don't think it was the right move right now. Tavares' contract is going to be up. You're going to get that $10 million off your books, and you might re-sign him. You don't know what's going to happen with him, but even if he leaves in the offseason, that's when you give Matthews that captaincy because the space is open. You basically made a space vacant for somebody who doesn't really need that vacant space. He's been a leader for the Islanders, for Toronto, for his entire career, right? So, to me, it doesn't make sense. I know Treliving wants to make moves, but like you said, it's a small change for something that we want bigger afterwards.
Yeah.
But I don't think that small change now was the best idea.
Yeah, no, I agree with what you're saying. I totally agree. One more year, why not just wait? But I don't know, I think if Tavares was okay with it, which he was obviously there in the press conference when he was announced the captain and all that stuff. But I see what you're saying, right? Why not just wait the year? You re-sign him for whatever less money he's going to take because obviously he wants to stay a Leaf. But I don't know. At the end of the day, like I said, I think there was just changes that had to be made, and you kind of saw, during the season. There was some games, I'll just say an example, like that game at the beginning of the year against Tampa, when we were down in that game and then Matthews scored a big goal. That whole line actually played good with Marner and Nice. And just the passion that he was showing when he scored his goal, I think, to tie the game or whatever it was, but just pumping up the crowd. From then on, I definitely thought that, this guy should be the captain. But I do see what you're saying, though. It totally makes sense.
Oh, from the moment we drafted Matthews, I think obviously our intention was for him to be the captain for the foreseeable future, right? Yeah. Now he's, 26? He's getting up there. Well, not getting up there, but he's getting close to 30. I think it was right to make him the captain sooner or later. But now you got to think about what this may do to Tavares, right? You're bringing in now a 33-year-old who's been a leader for his whole career, and now he's been stripped. He had to be a part of the decision. Yeah. But who knows deep down what he actually feels on that, right? And that could also now affect his play. Now, he could go out now and want that rage, got that hunger, go get, more than a point per game than he's been doing. But then now that comes down to contract time after, and you're like, all right, well, he blasted last season. Bear in mind, he's 34, but he blasted last season. Someone's going to re-sign him for money, right? He's going to get big money. And as much as he might want to be a Leaf for the rest of his career, if this fuels him to do better than he's done in previous seasons, especially with Toronto, you got to look at that as he might go somewhere else now, right? Now that's another big free agent, even at his age. You know what I mean? Could go anywhere, and then we lose a key center, right?
Yeah, no, I totally get what you're saying. I think that at the end of the day, um, I think he's pretty much set in stone. I don't see him going anywhere else. I
Neither
think
do I. Just to
yeah,
clarify,
yeah.
I don't see him leaving anytime
I, I
soon.
don't I don't think he's gonna go anywhere. I think he's gonna get the Jason Spezza treatment when he came back to Toronto, just signing those kind of I guess you can call it a bridge deal, just right, just a million. Not to that extent, because obviously we're not trying to make Tavares look like a $1 million player. He's
Yeah.
still really good, right?
Yeah.
Just obviously age plays a factor and all that stuff. But this guy can still score you 20+ goals, right?
Easily.
Especially on the second line. If he does stay there, obviously, Berube could.
He's on the first power play, guaranteed.
Yeah, he can do
So,
whatever he wants with the lineup situation and stuff, which we'll get into. But no, I think at the end of the day, he's still a really good player. Matters to this team. He's playing with good players, so he should have a good season. Now, again, age is a factor, and he's in his last year of his deal, so I don't see him asking for more than 5.
I would hope not.
Yeah, we would hope not.
But like I said, though, he comes out, let's say he touches 100.
Yeah.
Let's say he touches 90 points.
Yeah.
Better than the last 2 or 3
Which,
seasons.
I mean, I would be happy if that happened.
God hopes. But like,
Yeah.
if that happens, now we got to think, okay, we're talking about $5 million.
Yeah.
If Crosby's getting 8-7, we'll talk about it. You know what? We're touching a lot on Tavares and his free agency. We might as well touch on both Tavares and Marner, as they're both going to be free agents in the upcoming offseason.
Sure.
$21 million freeing up in cap. What is it?
Yeah,
somewhere around
something
there?
about that, something
So-
along those lines. I think Marner is at 10.9,
Something.
and his number of his London night number at the end because of Dubas and all that
Yeah.
stuff. But I don't know. A lot of people have different opinions on Marner. At the end of the day,
I'm a big Marner fanboy, just in case, just to preface this. Like,
yeah, I love.
I brought this in just because, that's my boy. So, I
love him.
continue.
I love him. He's awesome. Just playoffs have been a little bit shaky for him. We're hoping this upcoming season that he snaps out of it. But no, at the end of the day, this was always a discussion every year after every playoffs when we're out early again. It's always down to the big guys, right? And they've all not played to their potential of what they can and what we've seen them in the regular season, but everybody just focuses on Marner, which, okay, yes, out of the 4 or out of the 3, not including Tavares,
Yeah.
Matthews, Nylander, Marner, he's definitely the one that you can see is struggling the most. But in the regular season, the guy's going to get you 100 points. Now, he hasn't cracked 100 yet, but the guy's had 99, 98, so hopefully this season he gets it. Right now, as we speak, even though I love him, I was for trading him just because I thought, well, if this guy is going to leave, just because he's going to ask for too much, which I think is going to happen, why wouldn't you want to get assets back instead of basically just saying, here you go, just leave?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? It's tough. It's really tough because obviously we don't make the decisions on Marner's contract, but it's really tough. We got, like we said, $21 million in cap freeing up. Obviously, I think in terms of like actual million wise, I think 3.5, 4 went to Willie's contract.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
So you got 16 mil to play with now. Obviously, this season we signed a couple veterans in the offseason whose 1-year deals are going to end by next season, right? We got a couple other people's ending next season. So we're going to have some money to play with. Now, like you said, Marner's probably going to ask for a big contract. And don't get me wrong, this is a little bit biased. Deservedly so, because apart from one season, he's been the highest scoring Leaf. Yeah.
Oh, of course.
Apart from one season, he's been the highest scoring Leaf, so you can't tell me otherwise that he doesn't deserve the money. Yeah, he's not going to get you 65, 70 goals, but he's going to get you about 80 assists. And I'm going to say this right now, hot topic. 69 doesn't come without 16.
No, I totally agree. If Matthew, like we've seen Matthew score without Marner on his line, but no, it's true. Like even
that come up, their whole come up was them together. As
Yeah.
much as Matthews played a lot with Willie, and now in the later part he's playing more with Willie too. Matthews' big seasons have been with his
Marner.
biggest seasons have been with Marner. Apart from that 45-goal season, which everyone's like, oh, off year. It's Matthews. He just chose not to score 40. Like, he chose to score 40.
Yeah.
He could have easily scored 55, 60.
No,
easily.
it's true.
But, yeah, a lot of Matthews' production. Yes, Matthews is a great player, but a lot of Matthews' production comes from that Marner flair. That Marner, like, just the way Marner plays, the way he moves around. And honestly, Marner was the original, in my opinion, Marner was the original defensive forward on that team. Matthews started year 4, becoming a lot better on the back check. Marner was doing it since day 1. Marner was always on the penalty kill. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
That's a big, big player for a lot of people to say, oh, he's not worth re-signing for that much. Why not?
I think I agree with that 100%. Like, he's been on that penalty kill. You know, he's, again, hardworking, which you want offensively and defensively. But it's just, I think now, as we speak today, September 17th.
2024.
Yeah.
At 2:04 p.m.
Yeah. I think Treliving has already, and again, I'm just speaking of what I'm saying right now. This could be totally wrong. But right now, I think getting out of last season's offseason, I think Treliving has already picked his 2 guys that he wants to move forward with.
Yeah, Matthews and Nylander.
Yeah. He gave them both the big money. You can't... See, this is the thing. And I know you know this, but you just can't... And, okay, you can make the excuse, okay, Tavares is coming off the books and everything else that might happen. But you just can't pay 4 guys or even 3 guys
Close to
that
40,
much money.
Yeah, half your cap.
Yeah, like, I know, okay, yeah, the cap's going up, Tavares will go down in cap, and whatever else happens with the team. Obviously, we got a couple of rookies coming in that are going to fill roster spots, losing Bertuzzi and stuff like that, but again, we'll get into that later. Their money is only going to go up. Like, Nylander signed his 8-year deal. He's locked in. Matthews, was it a 4-year extension? 4-year extension?
So. 4
yeah.
5, 4
yeah.
5.
He's locked in. Marner, in my opinion, is the odd man out. Which is unfortunate to say because I love the guy. I want him to retire as a Leaf. He was a Leaf fan growing up. You know, I don't know what else to say. He's a perfect player, except obviously
Playoffs.
we want him to play a little bit better in the playoffs. Yeah. But other than that, he's a player that you want on your team. And also what you were saying before is the Matthews production. You got to give credit to Marner as well because let's be honest here, it is. That's something that you can bring up. And again, like you said, Matthews is a hell of a player. Even the guy could play with 4th liners on his line, and he'll still pot 30 goals.
Easily.
But yes, Marner is a big factor in Matthews.
Yeah,
I don't
know. How many power play goals do you think Matthews had last season?
Do you have it up?
I do.
So he's 69.
I'll be honest. I thought it was more.
So is it a low number?
It's not low, but it's not. I thought it was touching something else. Yeah. I wasn't expecting.
I'd say around maybe 25.
Yeah, see, that's exactly what I was expecting. It's actually 18. Oh. But you take 18 away from 69, you got 51, right? Now, how many games of the season did Matthews and Marner play together? Plus, who's also on that power play? Right? There's so many places that you may not pop up on the score sheet, but there's so many places that Marner plays well. That's know, for me, doesn't get recognized the way that other players get recognized. Like if Marner sticks lifts somebody in the back, everyone's like I don't mean penalty, I mean like stick lifts and takes the puck.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, oh, casual. He's done that before. Matthews starts doing it in year 4. Everyone's talking about this new crazy sensation of Matthews back checking. And then you want to say Marner. I can't, because then now it sounds like I'm dissing Matthews. I love Matthews. I think Matthews is arguably the greatest scorer in the league, if not going to be the greatest scorer ever. But even Gretzky had a teammate. Even Gretzky had somebody else on his line. Yes, they weren't passing him the puck because it was a different era, But what they did off of the puck mattered so much more to Gretzky's game. And a lot of stuff that Marner does is off the puck, as much as he is amazing on the puck, right? I don't want to keep talking too much about Marner because we also have to talk about the Tavares.
I have one more thing to say.
Go for it.
I think Marner gets obviously more hate than he should, but I have a feeling it's because he's just, I don't know, like he was a Leaf fan growing up. He has the passion, right? Because he was a Leaf fan. And he was born in he's born
Markham.
close. Yeah, he was born in Markham, close to Toronto and stuff. It's just the whole contract situation the first time.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that
all
was
that
a big
stuff
ordeal.
Yeah, that was huge. Like I know Nylander had the same thing, and he actually held out during the season.
Yeah.
But
which nobody wants to talk about. But okay,
yeah.
Sorry.
But no, I don't know. It's just Marner's time in Toronto has been bumpy, just because of maybe some off ice stuff. Sorry, excuse me. Or even let me give you an example. I'll make this quick, but after interviews, post games, if we lose, just sometimes he might not say the right thing, and then people are on him about that, which is come on.
That's the sports media industry.
Yeah,
they take everything and just twist it a little.
We
bit
always say we want these guys to speak their mind because let's be honest, they're so by the book, especially hockey players, right? Just by the book, get pucks in deep.
Yeah, no one's got
stuff,
a personality on the mic.
Exactly. Thank God, some guys do, Revo
yeah,
and stuff like
Reeves.
that. Yeah, but that's why. So when you actually see a player show some frustration or stuff, obviously in the right way, but he shows it sometimes. And yeah, sometimes I don't agree with what he says, but some people you see Twitter and stuff and whatever, some people on that are not smart.
For lack of better words, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I just no, at the end of the day, I'm hoping the guy has a huge season, but I don't know.
Are you though? Honestly though. As much as we're Leaf fans and as much as we obviously want him to do well, are you hoping he has a good season? Because if he has a great season before the trade deadline, and let's say he's killing it and we're not in a playoff spot, he's getting traded. That's easy to say. But if we are in a playoff spot and he's playing great, let's say he touches 100 points, let's say he gets 105 this year, then now he's got more backbone to say, I actually deserve that 11-5, or I deserve that 11, I deserve that 10, whatever he's asking for. He's got more backbone to request it. Whereas if he's got obviously last season, don't get me wrong, was Marner level, but he missed 13 games, right?
Yeah.
He still got 85 points in 69 games, right? That's still insane. So let's say he gets 72 points in 80 games this year. Now it gives us more space to re-sign him because he probably won't ask for as much unless, another team's going to offer him big money, which they probably will because he's not a one season off guy.
Yeah.
He might take one season off a little bit, like Matthews with the 40 goals, but the next season he's going to get you that 90, almost 100. All right, so it's a big question for this offseason. Again, with now Tavares, right? Now if Tavares, right, he's another free agent, we got to re-sign, hopefully. As much as he might want to be elite for the rest of his career, if he has a 40-goal season this year, we're not re-signing him because he's not going to take a hometown discount. As much as he will if he's playing the way he's been playing.
To an extent.
But if he touches 40 with 35 assists, like an old John Tavares type thing, when New York Islanders, he might say, I deserve 7. I deserve Crosby 8-7. You know what I mean? There's so many factors with re-signing Marner. We do get a lot of money back from Tavares, but it has gone to Nylander, and it should go to a goaltender, please and thank you. But not Matt Murray, please and thank you.
Which is still on our team actually. He re-signed.
Yeah,
and is somewhere in our organization.
Yeah, he's got on
the couch eating chips
at Robidai Island, buddy.
Yeah,
this
for
guy,
real.
He's living life, but we're not talking about him because I don't want to. But yeah, hopefully that money's gonna go to a goalie. But I do genuinely want it. I think they will, and I do genuinely want to see him re-signed because I don't think Toronto's the same team without him.
Last thing.
Yeah.
If Treliving came up to me today, which is very unlikely.
What's going on, Brad?
If he knocked on my door.
Yeah.
And said, Luca, Marner's not coming back next year.
Yeah.
I would say get as many points as you want. Have the season of your life, dude, and show it in the playoffs.
That's the thing. That's where the biggest question marks come, is the playoffs, dude. Like, that's our biggest thing. Obviously, we've been out of the first round once in the last 8 years, 9 years, 10 years.
Yeah,
God knows.
it's been a long time.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
It's been a while.
The Leafs have actually never won a Stanley Cup. Okay, we're not going to talk about that right now. It's a long story. What was I saying? Whatever. Let's move on.
Yeah, let's move on. Martin's turning the brain a little bit.
Yeah, I wanted to resign. Because we're talking about signings, right? Let's talk about the signings that Toronto made in the offseason. So I have them right here. So we've got Tanev, Ekman-Larsson, and Domi each sign a contract. All right, Tanev and Ekman-Larsson for 1 year. Right?
Yeah.
Murray re-signs for 1 year. Mermis, Myers, and Pare each sign a 1 year contract with the Leafs. Stolar signs a 2 year contract as a backup, which I'm not too upset about, if I'm honest.
No, not at all.
Dewar re-signed, Steve signed, and there is a couple more, but my computer's not loading. Let's talk
Robertson
re-signed, but
Pacioretty on the PTO.
Pacioretty's a big one.
Yeah.
Let's order them. So let's talk about our deep pairing first. Let's talk about Tanev and Ekman-Larsson. You can separate them, but let's talk about the D first. What do we think they're going to bring? Obviously, veterans, right? Solid defensemen for most of their careers, all right? Probably still solid last season. What do we think they're going to add to our depth on our decor?
Well, I'm going to say this. I think Riley finally has that defensive defenseman we've been trying to pull with him for a while now.
Yeah, that's better than Luke Shen.
Yeah,
Love you, Luke,
no disrespect to Luke Shen.
Great player.
You're a beast.
We love the hits.
And for real. But I think, like, even though Tanev is older.
Yeah, he's 35.
Still a hell of a hockey player, right?
Oh, yeah.
Now, again, we could be saying this right now, knock on wood, and this guy could get injured.
John Klingberg.
We won't even discuss him. Don't even mention that guy's name.
Who?
But who? But he's older, but the guy can still play the game.
Oh, yeah.
And he's been the defenseman I think that we've been missing. And you're like, okay, when Brody signed his contract with the Leafs in that half COVID year where we were just playing the Canadian teams in the Canadian division, Brody was really good.
Yeah.
Like, Brody was what we were asking for, but at the end of his time with the Leafs, you could see the age get to him, and for the most part he was good, but it was time to move on. But I just remember, like, me and you were talking, like, Tanev was one of our trade targets.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Before last year's trade deadline, me and Luca were discussing possible trades for the Leafs to make. We were doing cap and everything, making it all work. And Tanev was the one that we put in almost every single one of our trades.
First time, every time.
Like, we've been talking about Tanev for a long, long time.
Yeah,
so.
and I think it made sense. Like, it made a lot of sense.
Hell yeah.
Treliving, and we knew, like, from people actually talking, that he was one of the guys that we were always interested, right? It was Tanev, Zadorov, even that trade that didn't go through, that we were supposed to get both of them or whatever happened. But no, Tanev, I think, was just a smart move. That's definitely my favorite move we've made this offseason.
Oh, 100%. Even with that Brody signing, with Brody being I think he was probably like 30 at the time, maybe 31. He's getting into
around there.
He's getting into the latter stages of his career. He was that defensive defenseman that we could pair with Riley. Just he wasn't right-handed. That was the biggest thing.
Yes.
He wasn't right-handed. We kept on signing left-handed D to play the right-hand side.
Yep.
And don't get me wrong, Brody's played there. I know he played there.
Yeah, he did.
Calgary?
Yeah.
Played there? He played the right-hand side a lot of his career. But it's just we had 6 left-handed defensemen and not one right-handed defenseman. It was only Liljegren. And
which I'm not.
Liljegren cannot pass a puck.
Yeah, I'm not a big.
Sorry,
too
Tim.
Big of a fan for Liljegren.
Sorry, Tim. Hot take. You can't pass a puck. So yeah, Tanev has definitely been somebody that, like we've said, we've been looking at as if we're the trade targets, but like we've been looking at to try and add to this team because he just brings that defensive stability and the right-handed shot that we so miss.
Desperately needed.
Oh my goodness, man.
Yeah.
Now, on the left-hand side, we added Ekman-Larsson, right? Again, veteran, latter stages of his career. I think he's like 33, 34, something like that. He's getting
along
up
those
there,
lines,
right?
yeah.
So the 1-year contract is definitely suitable. Now, when he was in Arizona, class. He's a class hockey player. But we're talking 24, 25 years old at that time.
Yeah, not. It's kind of away a little bit now.
Yeah,
It's
he's a
long
he's
time
past
from
his
there.
prime.
Yeah.
But he's got, obviously, Arizona, not a great hockey team. I don't think anybody would argue that. I don't think anybody would argue that. But
yeah.
to shine on that hockey team was probably hard to do, right? So it proves that he's got the ability to, be a star player. Even though he's 34, he's not going to be a star player, but he's going to be a star depth player, right? Because he's got the veteran leadership. I know he was the A in Arizona. I don't know if he had the C. I don't think he did. But I know he had an A. I know he had an A.
Yeah, I know for sure.
So he can definitely, again, with all the other like Tanev veterans that we've brought in, he can definitely make a difference in terms of, leading this locker room, leading some of the younger guys, even though we don't have too many. Cowan's a big one. Robertson, 23, but still young. He can do a good job of leading these guys and maybe getting them ready for the playoffs. Like, I know we've signed so many guys saying that, right? Revo and Tavares, all these guys we've signed saying that they're going to lead us through the playoffs. But the more veterans you bring in, especially ones that have had good careers, it adds just that little bit more, that oomph, that little bit more of a push that they can bring to this team. Now, Domi, who's another contract that we...
Wait, sorry. I just want to... Ekman Larsson actually did have the C in Arizona.
He did?
He was the captain. Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
He's led a team.
Yeah.
Bear in mind, Arizona Coyotes, but
still, captain's captain, right?
So right, and he shone on that team. He was a star on that team, right? So
I think he's like a Klingberg experiment again. I think like Klingberg obviously didn't work out, and
John,
we knew it wasn't going to work out. But it's all right.
You hear that, John? It didn't work, buddy.
But I think it was one of those signings where I think he has a high upside, and if it doesn't work out, whatever. It's like the Klingberg experiment. It's a 1-year deal.
Yeah, it wasn't even that much.
Just
right?
do what you did to Klingberg. If it doesn't work out, you break his leg. You hurt him. You hurt him. Like when we were going to Sweden, you drug him on the plane or whatever. I'm joking. And don't do that.
Yeah, don't.
And you call it a day. But no, I think Ekman Larsson, it was kind of one of those smaller moves, but big move at the same time.
Yeah.
I think he should play well.
I would believe so.
I think he'll play well.
Now, Matt Murray re-signing.
Can we skip this one?
No. I got one thing to say. If Matt Murray touches, bar any injuries to Joseph Wall, please don't get injured. Bar any injuries to Joseph Wall. If I see Matt Murray touch the ice in a Leafs uniform, that's not just sitting on the bench, I don't know if I'm going to watch a game this season.
I think
I can't see this guy in our net anymore.
Yeah, no, he won't.
I'm sorry, Matt. I know you've won cups, 2, 3.
Yeah,
I know you've won 3 cups and started 2 of them. You're not that guy anymore. You're not that $6.5 million player. You can't make a save in 6 shots. So, what do you think?
The glove side's a little questionable.
What glove? Where's your glove at, buddy? Just lift it up a little bit, man.
I don't think he's gonna see. I don't think he's gonna see ice ever because right now he's my 4th goalie.
Yeah.
If Wall gets hurt, which hopefully he doesn't, but how it's been looking so far in the past seasons, he probably will get hurt. Stolars, and then Hildeby.
So Hildeby is a big one.
Hildeby will definitely come up before Murray. Murray will not see ice with the Leafs.
So,
I think we can say that with confidence.
I'm going to be honest. Meramis, Myers, and Pare, I'm not exactly clued on who they are. I want to say probably AHL players, and the only Myers I can think of is Tyler Myers.
No, Myers.
And I know it's not Tyler Myers.
No, it's not Tyler Myers. Philip Myers, I think it is.
Oh, he's another right-handed defenseman.
Let me just double check.
No, he used to play on Philly. Philip Myers is a right-handed. He's a right-handed defenseman, which actually, for a depth player, isn't the worst thing. It's another right-handed defenseman.
Yeah, it's always with our team. It's always about depth because the last couple of seasons, like our defensive core has been injured. Like we've had a lot of injuries, and especially now we have a lot of older guys that are gonna get hurt, right? Hopefully not, but Tanev and Ekman Larsson are not young, right?
No, not at all.
Tanev, even though I'm not really too sure about his injury history, I think he's been pretty good. I could be completely wrong. I don't know.
Yeah.
But they're older. either if it's just missing games because like I know Gio's old, but that's a different story. But just missing games because they gotta take a game off,
Yeah.
right? If we want these guys to be good in the playoffs, now I say that, and they're probably gonna play every game if they're healthy because they're key players, right? You want them on the ice because you
100%.
know they can produce, right? Hopefully, but you always want that depth, either if it's defensively or offensively. It's good to have.
Oh, 100%. I mean, depth is what's going to bring you champion. Obviously, a goalie is what's going to bring you championships, but
Come on, Wall. Don't
Depth-
get hurt.
depth is very much going to bring us championships. Now, I do want to touch on Hildeby and our goaltending situation before we get into the rest of the roster. Now, I personally think Hildeby should have been called up last season. Blood is 6'5", 6'6", possibly. I think he's like 6'7" with skates. He takes up
he's a huge
the
guy.
entirety of the net. Now, okay, he's young, right?
Yeah.
But who did we play when Wall got injured? Who was our goalie?
Should I say his name?
No, please do.
Don't really want to say it. I think something with an S.
Ilya Samsonov. Don't get me wrong. When we signed him, I thought he was going to be an experiment of like a younger experiment goalie. Now, the experiment didn't work.
I think in the first season we could say it was okay.
It was all right. It was okay.
Yeah,
But
for
then
what
the
he
second
was,
season, it was like, okay, he dropped a little bit. He's still 25. We could
Yeah.
maybe see some upside coming back, hopefully. And then last season, he had me gripped, and then he had me crying.
I just remember. I remember when I can't remember what it was. I think we were in the car together or something, and we were talking. I can't remember what the game was.
Just
but
discussing
Samsonov gave
Toronto.
up which we usually do
Oh, yeah.
all the time. That's why we started this.
You can't tell.
And we were talking about the Leafs, and we were talking about Samsonov because I think it was a game where he gave up like probably 4 goals. He got pulled. I can't remember. It was his worst week where he got sent to the Marlies.
The
week that he got sent down.
4 goals on like 11 shots.
Yeah, that
in,
whole
like, the first
whole
period.
couple of games he was playing bad, and then he got sent down. We were talking about him. We're like, what happened to this dude?
Yeah.
Like this dude. We're talking about the guy that stole us Game 6 in Tampa to win us the series,
Yep.
and he's can't save a puck now.
Doesn't got his 5-hole is huge.
Yeah,
You got pads.
I don't know
bro,
what happened. Like, just how do you forget?
Yeah,
how to play.
It's like he forgot to drop into position when the shots were coming.
His positioning was just terrible, man.
What positioning?
Yeah,
There
exactly.
was none.
Positioning? What is that?
What is positioning? But yeah, so Stolarz, I believe, is a good backup signing. Obviously, he's not been
Solid.
He's never been top of the league. He's never even been top of the backups in the league. But he's a solid backup. He can win some games here and there, and play when you need to.
Yeah.
Now, Hildeby, I think, should come up if we're struggling. At least if Wall starts struggling, start Stolarz, give Wall a little bit of a break, put Hildeby in as a backup. Hildeby needs to touch the ice this year. Is his first name Dennis? I think it's Dennis.
Yeah.
Dennis Hildeby needs to touch the ice this year because at 6'5", he's got the potential to. I'm not saying he could be, but he can somehow move forward and progress to be like an Andrei Vasilevsky. Now, I'm not saying he's got that potential to do so because it's a big, big claim,
Yeah.
right? But a tall, lanky goalie who can move, and as he plays, he's going to get more acrobatic, more flexible, more suited to the net. We could see a mini Vasilevsky. Like
He can be the next Garrett Sparks if that actually worked out. Basically, right?
Sure, yeah.
Garrett Sparks. If Sparks,
I think he could be better than Sparks though, because Sparks was good.
I
But
think I think he's gonna be way better than Sparks was.
it's a
We'll
big
talk
claim.
about him too much, but he wasn't that great with the Leafs.
Yeah,
We'll leave it at that. With the Marlies, hey, he was a really
He was
good goalie.
great with
We
the
thought he
Marlies.
was gonna be the future, and the guy couldn't stop a puck for us.
Yeah. Now,
I remember that
obviously-
Chicago game.
Oh my gosh.
Remember that Chicago
Oh my
game?
gosh, do I ever?
6-5, I think it was. He couldn't save a puck.
Third
but
game of the season, yeah.
Yeah,
that.
remember? Yeah,
That was
yeah.
terrible. But yeah, I believe Hildeby should touch the ice this year. At least 10 games, I think. I know 5 to 10, I think, is a good. Get him suited to the NHL. Obviously, if an injury happens, then send him up before Matt Murray, please and thank you. But yeah, I think he could become our future. I'm not saying he's going to become the best goalie in the league, But he could definitely become top 5, top 10, especially if we build another decor around him, right, for the future. Because we still got Matthews locked up. We got Nylander locked up. Like, obviously we talk about them all the time. But, like, we got some guys locked up, which then afterwards frees up more cap. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's got the attributes. Definitely got the attributes.
Yeah.
And it's always good. Like, even now, like, when you have, like, I know he got a contract extension. But, like, when we had him on his rookie deal, it's good, like, when you have a young goalie that can, get you wins and play good. And, because, like, when he was healthy, he played really good. Like, before his injury, guy
he was insane.
Won the net from Samsonov, like, right away.
Easily
making saves. And then I think it was against Ottawa, he got hurt, and then he came back. He kind of struggled a little bit. He was still okay. He kind of struggled.
I don't think he struggled. I think he was scared. I think he was worried to
injure himself. Yeah, no.
Because it wasn't like a head injury or anything. It was something on his leg, no?
Something, yeah.
Or his knee.
Yes.
Yeah, so
knee, something like that.
Obviously, biggest thing for the goalies is their legs. So obviously, I don't think he wanted to risk any injuries.
Yeah.
But if you're not willing to risk the injury, don't go in net. Don't go on the ice. You can't go out there feeling scared, which is, going back to Marner in the playoffs, which I think where a lot of that struggle comes from. Scared. Because the playoff type hockey is a different type of hockey, as we all know. We all know. Much tougher, much quicker paced. Even though these players play at quick paces already, it's so much more quicker paced.
Less space, everything, right?
Right? So that's where Marner struggles. I think he gets scared in the playoffs because of the pace. He can play quick, but not that quick, I don't think. He needs to slow the game down sometimes. Now,
Yeah, no, it's true. I think, obviously we kind of shy away from Marner, but one more thing is his whole game is like playmaking, the space. Give him the space and you create something. When you kind of don't have that space, your game kind of goes away, right? But anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think overall he'll be not hopefully, because I really don't want Wall or Stolarz to get injured. Again, I think Matt Murray's not going to touch the ice, so we don't have to worry about that, hopefully. But Hildeby, I think he was up for a couple of games last year. He didn't play, though. He was on the bench. But it's just good to, like, see him up with the team, even if he's not playing, just to sit on the bench, watch, right, kind of analyze, right? Because I don't think...
You can't study the game if you're not watching. Yeah, you can't learn how to play hockey if you're not watching hockey.
Yeah.
As much as you have to do it on the ice, what do players do right when they get to the bench? They review the play that they just made.
Yeah.
Like, they were on the ice for 30 seconds and they have that whole video recorded. So even putting him behind the bench just to view how the NHL is played and paced,
for sure.
It's such a big step. Yeah. So I like I said, I genuinely think he should get called up early this year, get him started early, and if we start slow, send him back down.
Yeah, Wall and Stolarz are obviously going to be your 1-2 going into the season, and we'll get to the roster in a bit. But Hildeby, the only way, like, if we're rolling and there's no reason to bring him up, we're not really going to bring him up unless, again, there's an injury or someone struggling. Then he'll hopefully, be the guy that comes up. But no, I agree with you that he should see some. Personally, not even just like I just want to see him play.
Yeah,
that's the biggest thing. In the NHL, I mean, because obviously you can watch a Marlies game and you play whatever. It's not the same. Like even the prospect showdown is going on. He's playing, but it's just I want to see that huge guy in net, right? But yeah.
So touching now on the rest of the roster, we're gonna get our thoughts on the roster right now. So. We'll touch on the lineup first. So, according to dailyfaceoff.com, they have the lineups as such. First line, we've got Nyes, Matthews, and Marner. Second line, we've got McMahon, Tavares, and Nylander. So very, very similar to last season, if not the exact same lines.
Yeah.
Third line is Holmberg, Domi, and Yarncroke. And our fourth line would be Dewar, Kampf, and Reeves. Now, before we touch on the defense, what do you think of the offensive lineup, according to dailyfaceoff.com?
Yeah, I have it open right now. I mean...
I think it's all right. I would change a couple of things.
I would definitely change a couple of things, too. Right now, as we speak, like, obviously, Robertson's not... You didn't mention him. Like, okay, Pacioretty is on the PTO, so we'll see what happens with him. Right now, as we speak, I don't think... The thing that scares me the most is that second line left winger.
Bobby.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't think he's bad, but too, I'm not the biggest Bobby McMahon fan. I like how he plays because he's a big guy. He can score, but just second line,
I think
I don't know.
I have the same idea as you. He is still like 26, I believe. So he's not young. He's not old.
Yeah.
He still has time to grow, right? Now, he's not going to grow into the best player in the league or top 10 in the league. But he could grow to become a second-line player. Even a first-line potential. But current Bobby McMahon, yeah, he had a great season last season. He's a third-liner. He's no more than a third-liner. Now, the statement could be made is, who are we going to put now on that left wing spot? Because I think I know who you would put, possibly, Yarncroke. Now, I really don't like Yarncroke.
Yeah.
I really don't like him. I don't know what it is. I just don't like the way he plays for Toronto. Like, he can score. And before he got injured, he was playing well. But I just don't think he's a player for the Leafs. I just don't think so.
I think I don't know. I don't mind him. It's just he is your designated third line guy. Like, he is that guy you put on the ice when you need defense. Like, our third line, like, even though, like, okay, Domi isn't defensive at all, right now, Holmberg and Yarncroke on the third line, those are your wingers on the third line. That's your checking line, your defense line. Defense comes first, hardworking line, that kind of stuff. I would try Domi again. I know at the beginning of the season it didn't work how we wanted it to, but either you put, like, I don't know what Berube is gonna do. I wouldn't start Domi. I would put Domi higher up in the lineup. I would put him either that first or second line left wing. I want to see Domi play with Matthews and Marner.
I agree.
Keefe didn't try that last year. He tried Marner, Matthews, and Bertuzzi, which was good. So why not just keep Domi with Matthews? Because Matthews and Marner now are the defensive. They can back check. They're half decent defensively. Domi really isn't. But why? Like, I know, okay, you can split it up. Domi's a playmaker. Please shoot more. Please shoot more because you can score. You have a half decent shot. Don't pass as much as you do.
You could get 20, bro. You could get 20 so easily.
But anyways, Domi and Marner with Matthews, that could be really good. Domi with Nylander and Tavares. Didn't work, but why not try it again?
Yeah.
See if it works. But yeah, that third line, again, like we said, I think we're just missing someone on this lineup. I don't know who it is, but
do you think it could be Easton Cowan? Does Easton Cowan make this Toronto lineup to start the season? Now, if you don't want to play him in game one, it's understandable, right? But does he play 40 games this year? Does he touch half games this year? I coming off of a 95-point season, I believe it was. Obviously, with the London Knights, 96 points in 54 games.
Hell of a season.
Right? He had more points than Marner had for the London Knights, and that record was already nuts. So you can't sit there and say that he needs more development because you haven't tested him in the situation. 96 points. Like, what more do you need to say? He's got to touch the ice this year. I know we could have done it last year. We waited. Seems like he benefited from it, all right? Because he went from 53 points in 68 games to 96 and 54.
Yeah.
Huge jump.
Good player.
Huge jump. Now, and even the playoffs. He had 34 points in 18 games.
I watched those games, and he's a heck of a hockey player. Let's just put it that way.
Right? And he's a left winger. He is that left winger. Obviously, he's a scoring left winger, but he's a left winger. He's a better left winger than Bobby McMahon for that second line. Especially because, Willie's a sniper. 50-50 with playmaking, but more of a sniper. Tavares is two-way.
Yeah.
You got another playmaking sniper down the left side. That line's arguably almost more dangerous than the Matthews line, depending on who you put left wing. Obviously, Nyes is nuts, but, it sounds bad to say considering he hasn't touched the ice yet, but
Yeah.
you put Cowan on the line with Nylander and Tavares, and that line becomes very deadly. Now, what he does in the NHL, we don't know, but I think he should play. I believe he should play.
I'm excited to see what he can do. I totally agree. I think he should be on this opening night roster. Obviously, we'll see him in the preseason and training camp and stuff like that. But he's played good in the prospect showdown so far. No, and yeah, he should play there. I think he should play there. But I also think he should have like the Minton, like what we did with Minton, where he
don't
had
play
his
him over the games of the what is the league restriction for like your entry
yeah.
level?
I'm not sure how it worked because Minton we were able to send back to.
Marlies.
No. He
sorry,
went to where was he playing before he got traded? Because I think he was with Kamloops. I'm not sure.
Like
and
that.
then he went. Whatever happened to him?
Yeah, but he was sent back down.
Yeah, I don't know if we can do that with Cowan though. But Cowan can be a Marley. Just send him to the Marlies.
Well, he's going to be playing for London this year. So
who? Cowan? Okay, so yeah,
so
I
we
think
can send him back to the OHL.
Yeah. So I think if the game's too big for him, which I don't think it will be, I think he will be a good player, like right off the bat. But we can just do what we did with Minton. Just if he's not ready, if we don't feel he's ready, don't waste a year.
Yeah.
Right? Just test him out. If he plays good, then hey, you have your left winger. Hopefully you have that left winger you've been looking for.
Yeah.
And if he kind of struggles a bit, it's like, you know what? Develop a little bit more. You can either go to the Marlies or back to London, whatever happens. But I think there's no, even though there might be a rush because you don't want to waste another year of, the guys that you're building the team around.
Yeah.
I think if he's not ready, then there's no point in wasting a year.
No, you're absolutely right. Now, even with that being said, we didn't even talk about Pacioretty, right? That's another left winger who, tail end of his career, right? Probably retiring within the next 2 or 3 seasons. But he's been a winner. He's won the cup, right? Was the captain of Montreal, right?
Yep.
Another veteran that we brought. He is not the second line center that he used to be, or second line winger that he used to be, or first line winger that he used to be. But to put him on that second line, like I was saying, put him in that role of where Cowan would be with Tavares and Nylander, it doesn't seem like that bad of an idea again, right? Like you said, you don't want to waste a year of Cowan and waste a year of these guys. You play Cowan. Obviously, we'll see how his PTO goes first for Pacioretty, but you play Cowan, have Pacioretty as maybe a depth winger, right? Then if Cowan doesn't play well, you maybe bring up Pacioretty, bring Cowan back to London, bring up Pacioretty, and then you have Dewar, you have Yarncroke, you've got Robertson, you've got these guys that you can substitute in for the lower half of the lineup. But Pacioretty, as much as he's old, he is that guy that could probably still play on the first line. I'm not saying he's going to put up first line points, but he's that player. He's that player that can play the first line. He can play up and down the lineup, right? Now it's how he shows it in his PTO, right? Because there's so many things that they can do for this team.
No, yeah.
So many different things.
Like again, it's all up to Berube and what he's gonna do. But like I think the biggest thing for Pacioretty, just to kind of finish up, I talk about him, is being healthy. I think is the biggest thing for him because he's been hurt a lot the past couple of seasons, and usually there's exceptions, but usually when you're coming back from big injuries, like you aren't the same player, especially when you're up there in age. But no, I think if Pacioretty can play well, then why not try him up in the top 2 lines? Like if it's not working out, because like there were some times in the season, and I know it was his rookie season, I think he's gonna have a good breakout year, a solid year. Like you saw last year with Nyes, is like even though he's a hell of a player, like he even admitted himself, like he's not in college anymore, right? The NHL game is completely different. It's tougher, it's longer, right? 82 games. And that can take a toll on young guys that are not really, maybe not expecting it, but like not, what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah. There's no prior experience to that.
Yeah.
And now that he's got a year under his belt, I think he'll be fine. But like when you have a guy like Pacioretty, if he can stay healthy, like you won't have to worry as much. Because like what we were saying before, it's all about depth. Like I think the biggest thing is depth, especially with these young guys or even the old guys. I think if you're able to have depth deep in the lineup, then that's fine.
Yeah.
Except if you're paying your depth $2.4 million on the fourth line center. Yeah, but whatever.
Listen, I like Mia David Camp. I think he's a good center, good depth center. 2.4.
2.4 is kind of crazy.
2.4 is nuts. Dubas.
No, I think
Good signing. Bad contract.
was I think it was Treliving that gave him that extension, because he got signed.
it?
Yeah, it was Treliving.
No.
Dubas signed because Camp got signed last year.
No, he didn't. He
Or was it
re-signed
the year
in 22.
before? It was
22.
Oh, so okay, and I'm
I'm
not
pretty
then.
sure because I think on the NHL game he's got the contract. So on NHL 22, I think he's got that
I'm not-
contract. I could be
not
wrong.
100%. I'm not 100%, but
Um,
whatever. 2.4 is a lot, but anyways.
Yeah, it's a lot for a depth center.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, he was good,
Hey,
But-
he's good on what he does. It's
Yeah.
just, I don't know.
but so is a lot of other people
Yeah.
who aren't getting paid 2.4.
Yeah.
All right, so going to the defense pairings, obviously we touched on the first one, Riley and Tanev. I don't think there's much to say about that. I think we both agree that that's our number one pairing.
For sure.
This is where we're gonna get probably a little bit. Ekman Larson and Liljegren.
No.
No, no,
No.
Like Tim, when we drafted you, I expected you to be, I'm not saying Brent Burns, but I expected you to be the next number one right-handed defenseman for the Leafs. You failed me, Brent. You failed me, bro. I really had a lot of hope for you.
Yeah, that didn't work.
And we keep trying you, even though you're like 6 years deep, and you still have not performed.
There's been
I think this is where we swap in Philip Myers in that part of the lineup. Either because the third line is
Let me see
Benoit McCabe. Benoit McCabe is our third line, and I think that line stays together because they played together last year and they were quite solid.
yes, but I also think that trying McCabe with Ekman Larson wouldn't be a bad thing, because Ekman Larson is that offensive guy,
Yeah,
and then you have McCabe, which is more of
pure
defensive
defense,
guy,
pure
right?
defense.
Because on the first line, for example, and I know, okay, they're way better players, but or not, you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Riley is that offensive guy, and he can play more offensively now because he knows that
he's got
Tanev is
Tanev
just
sitting back there.
defensive,
Pure, yeah.
right? So I wouldn't mind moving McCabe up and then Benoit and
Myers. Because I'm not touching. I don't want to see Liljegren on the ice.
I
really
don't either,
don't.
but I don't know. I don't know if I would play Myers though.
I would test it because he's only, I believe, a year or two older than Liljegren. I'm pretty sure he was on Philly last year.
Timmins?
I liked Timmins.
I don't think he's going to be on this team.
I don't think he's going to be on this team either, but I liked Timmins. But I think Philippe Myers is probably the way to go with this. Like, if he's healthy, if he's actually ready to play, I'd say I would go with what you said, move McCabe up with Ekman Larson.
Yeah.
And put Myers on the third line until Myers has proven a little bit that he's not going to get swapped back for Liljegren. Then maybe you make that switch, because as much as Ekman Larson is an offensive defenseman, like we've said, he's 35. So he's not got wheels like 25-year-old Ekman Larson. So to say that, he's gonna be going up and down the ice is an overstatement easily, right? He's probably not gonna be. He's got a great shot. He's gonna be great at moving the puck, but he's not gonna be Riley. You know what I mean?
No.
Like, he's not gonna do what Riley's going up and down, up and down, up and down. So I don't think it's a bad thing to put Ekman Larson with Philippe Myers, because they're both, as much as Ekman Larson is more offensive, Philippe Myers is a little bit more defensive. They're both two-way. They could both go up and down the ice if they need to. Philippe Myers being younger, he's got that speed to make up for Ekman Larson, quote unquote speed to make up for Ekman Larson.
Yeah.
Whereas Jake McCabe, but he's great, but he can't skate. Can't skate fast. You know what I mean? He's not gonna pick somebody up on the back check sprinting at him.
Yeah, no, he's
skating fast.
Definitely not the fastest guy. I hope we extend his contract because I love the guy to death.
Me
But
too. Don't get
would
me
you
wrong.
be down to bring back Klingberg and play him on the third line?
John, I want you. I'm just kidding. Do not touch Toronto soil ever again, please and thank you. Stay on Robida Island. We don't want you.
Philip Myers kind of intrigues me. I haven't really put too much thought into that, but now that you're kind of talking about it,
Yeah, because I didn't know who he was.
Yeah,
I didn't know it was Philip Myers
I wouldn't
or Philippe.
be against
sorry.
it to Philippe.
Whatever it
Tomato.
is. Yeah.
If it needs to be done, it needs to be done. Right now, even though, unfortunately, I don't really want to say it,
No.
but Liljegren would probably be with Benoit. I just I don't know. I don't know enough about Philip Myers. That's the thing. Like,
Neither do I, but I can't separate Benoit and McCabe for Benoit and Liljegren. I can't do that.
yeah,
Because I would rather have Liljegren play terribly with Ekman Larson, who's a veteran beside him, than play terribly with Benoit.
Benoit.
Don't get me wrong, last season he surprised me. I really think Benoit is a great third pairing on this decor, but to play him with Liljegren, you're risking way too much. Way too much when they're on the ice together. Because Benoit's not, he's 6'5", he's not fast. And Liljegren, he's fast, but he can't do anything else. So do you really want that together on a D pairing? Maybe your third D pairing, they may touch the ice for 10, 12 minutes, but you know what I mean? Like, do you really want 10, 12 minutes of biting your nails? Like,
yeah, no, it's
every time Liljegren touches the puck, I have an aneurysm. Like, I get scared.
no,
man.
it's no, me too.
Because he'll make passes. I'm not going to touch on Tim, but just don't pass in front of our net, please.
Please.
Yeah, and then we've already touched on the goaltending situation. So, and we touched on our preferred lineups. I think we want to see Cowan touch the ice in at least the first 5 games.
For sure.
And then see how Pacioretty does on his PTO and possibly add him into the lineup, whether it's up or down. That's all happen. That all matters with how many points and what they're doing in the game. Before we move on to stuff around the league, what do you think what are our predictions for the Leafs this year? Like, let's put all our bias aside, as much as it's going to be hard. Let's put all of our bias aside with the team that we've got, that we've just went through. Where we think we're going to end up in, not the league standings, but we'll say our league standings.
Fighting for third or wild card?
Oh, buddy, we're fighting for a wild card spot. Like, I didn't want to be so blunt with it.
No, I'm being completely unbiased. Wild card or third place?
Yeah, we had
think
this discussion yesterday. We're really not excited for this year as much as we were other years.
As much as we've kind of expressed how excited we are in this podcast, it hasn't been the off season that I think we expected.
We got Tanev. We got
I think
player
overall,
that we wanted.
Yeah.
And we made the signings, I think, that we wanted. But the way it looks on paper currently is
Did we really get that much better? Like, defensively,
we actually
maybe.
Didn't.
But offensively, I think right now, like, not including the young guys, because you don't really know how they're going to play yet because we haven't seen them.
A big loss was
But
Bertuzzi.
I think...
Bertuzzi was a big loss to this team. As much as he may not... people might say he may not have produced as much in the playoffs as he should have, in the season as he should have. Nearing the end, he started meshing with that Marner-Matthews.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's impossible to re-sign him because he got what, like 6?
I think he got around what we gave him. I'm not sure.
Oh, yeah?
Number.
Oh, so we probably could have re-signed him.
Yeah.
But he didn't want to stay in Toronto. I think we all knew that. I think unless we won a cup, I think we all knew he was leaving.
We just, even though he didn't get, I think he got paid as much as we were expecting. Like, it would be hard to bring him back, right? Just because we have other things to deal with.
Yeah,
we needed defense. We needed defense.
Yeah.
Yeah, so kind of they needed to make they had to make adjustments, and unfortunately, they obviously, everybody knew they rather have brought back Domi because he would have made less and all that stuff. But it just, you have to make sacrifices, and he was one of the sacrifices. I'm sure they wanted to bring him back, but it's just you can't.
100%. So let's move into more of the league stuff. Now, we only got 2 or 3 topics. So first, God rest their soul, but Johnny and Matthew Gaudreau, gone way too soon. And the fact that, I don't know, has the person been charged yet? I haven't seen it.
I don't think
kept
so.
Up with it too much, but it's so sad because they were both so young, 31 and 28, so young. And then you had Johnny's wife announcing the day of his funeral that they're having a kid, another one. It's so sad to see, and obviously it's the hockey community, and because Johnny was a great player, people are looking more at it now than if it was just a regular situation. But even regular situation at this, it's such a tragic thing to happen. I
think this shows, obviously, I remember that night on Twitter, just scrolling through, because I remember that first or X, or that tweet that came out. They were saying, Johnny Gaudreau died, and then everyone's like, no, you can't just come out and say that without having information, right? Because it was kind of one, and then the guy deleted it, and and then everyone's like, "What the hell? Like, what's going on?"
Yeah.
Right? But like, I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, you don't just come out and say that. Like, this actually might have happened.
Okay. Sorry.
Like,
Yeah. A lot of people do that.
yeah, like you could, yeah. Let me rephrase that.
Because I'll be honest,
I had a feeling.
I saw a TikTok because I woken up because it happened at the night, right? And
Yeah,
I
it
woken
was
up at
late.
about 4:30 the next morning, and I was like half asleep going through TikTok, and all I see is Johnny Gaudreau like dead, and I'm like half asleep, and I'm like, I swear I used that guy in like my NHL team yesterday. Like, there's no way this guy died. You know what I mean? Like, and then I went through and I saw the stories, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, oh wow. Like it's actually true because there's so much misleading stuff on the internet.
No, it's
But the
true.
fact that that was actually like true, like
Legitimate, yeah.
it's such a scary world we live in, man.
It's so quick how fast the life could be taken, especially like you think like Johnny goes to his brother Matthew, I think it
Yeah.
was, and you're like, let's go for a bike ride.
Yeah.
And then the next thing you know, it leads to disaster. So that just that's how fast. So enjoy life, live life, as best as you can, because you don't know what the next day is gonna bring you. But yeah,
as much as this
sad,
is meant
sad
to be
topic.
an upbeat podcast,
Yeah, this had to be mentioned.
yeah, this had to be mentioned. It was a big topic, and God rest Johnny and Matthew, and we wish the best
Sure.
for all the families,
Yep.
forever and ever, and our prayers are out for you. Next, what are your predictions for the season? Who do we think is gonna top each division? I think that's a good
Ooh.
question to talk about because, there were some signings in the offseason. Obviously, Crosby re-signed 8-7. I don't know how Sid, man, hometown discount. You're not even your hometown, buddy. Like 8-7, 8-7. Okay. So yeah, there's been some signings, some players staying where they are, some mini trades here and there, micro transactions. Who do we think is going to top? Let's start with the Atlantic. Who do we think is going to top the Atlantic? Obviously, we've got the Lightning, the Canadians, Sabres. I'm not too worried about, to be honest with you.
Florida.
Florida,
I got Florida.
Toronto, Boston, Ottawa, and Montreal. Ottawa and Detroit. Sorry.
Since this is our division, I'll say Florida.
Are you going to go 1, 2, and 3?
Yeah, just
Okay.
for this division,
Okay.
because I think but Florida for sure.
Yeah.
And then every year, everybody says the same thing. Oh, they can't be as good as they were last year. Boston's
Boston.
gonna finish second.
Yep.
Somehow, no disrespect to Boston, because you build your team the right way and they play the bees, the killer bees. They
Oh,
play
yeah.
that way, hard, tough.
Playoff hockey all year,
Yeah, which I respect.
which is what
To an
Florida
extent.
actually does too.
Them
that's
too.
why they're top. That's why we're putting them top.
Yeah.
I agree with what he's saying right now.
But it's just like you look at that Boston roster. No respect to them because they're a hell of a team and they've been a hell of a team.
On paper, though.
Yeah, on paper, like there's not really much.
But
Like,
we're
they
also,
got-
I think we base a lot of our not obviously a lot of our observation because we watch hockey, but I mean like our observations from that 2012, 2013 Bruins team. Chara, Bergeron, Lucic, Marchand, Krejci, all these guys, right? They were all huge names. And now you look at that team and it's like, Brad. You got Brad and that's it.
Pasternak, Brad, McAvoy, like
Pasternak came later from that
Yeah,
year,
yeah.
right? But like Pasternak, McAvoy, and Brad. It's not the same.
Coils.
It's
It's
the
not
core
the
three,
same.
right? And it's a very good core three,
Yeah,
but it doesn't on paper look as appetizing
yeah.
as it did back in the day. Like even last year, I don't think, and the year before, I don't think. When did they get 60 wins? 2 years ago?
2 years ago.
I don't think anybody expected that team to get 60 wins, but they did, right?
Yeah, I know.
Like,
Everybody thought that team was just gonna be mediocre.
Yeah.
And I know I'm a Leafs fan, so obviously I'm gonna think they're mediocre. But no,
fighting for a playoff spot.
they were crazy that year, and it was cool to see a team do that good. Unfortunately, it was Boston.
Oh my goodness.
but yeah, it was cool to see them do what they did. But yeah, Florida's got my pick for sure for.
And then
first.
who do you have at third? Because it's the Atlantic, so.
I'm gonna go with us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go with us. I think it's gonna be a fight, like it's been for the past 2 years or whatever it's been now. I think Tampa's gonna be there.
You think so?
Yeah.
I think Tampa has, opposed to popular belief, I genuinely think Tampa, without Stamkos,
It's done.
is going to, they're done. I just think they're going to struggle a lot more than people might think they are. As much as Stamkos is 34, right? He's getting older. That's their, 15-year captain? 14-year captain? something like that. Like
Yeah, he's been on the team for a while.
Captain for a long time. He's been there since the start of his career.
Yeah.
Right. That's a big locker room loss. All right. It's a big point loss. It's a big player loss. Now, I'm not saying they don't make the playoffs. I don't think they make top 3. I don't think so.
I think it's going to be a fight for that third spot like it's been the past 2 years.
I think it's going to go, like you said, Panthers, Boston, and then the next 3 spots in the wild card are going to be Toronto fighting for third, and Montreal is going to be fighting. I think Montreal's going to have a good season. I don't know why. Don't ask me why, but I just think they'll have a good season.
Line A.
And I hope they don't, but I think they will.
I think they'll be better than last year. I think there's still maybe a couple. Like, I think right now, maybe like Detroit might be a bigger threat, I think, than the Habs. But I think those teams are, like, I don't know. I think our division is going to be a fight way through. Like, I remember that year that it was just like, we knew literally from January that we were playing Tampa.
Oh, yeah.
2 years ago when we beat them. It was like, there's no reason to, like, what are you playing for? Like, we know,
literally.
you already know your playoff team you're going to face in the first round. But now I think with these younger teams coming up, like, I feel like they'll bring a bigger impact in the standings. So the Leafs might have to, play a little bit better instead of stink up and lose to Utah right away, even though they're not a bad team, in Arizona and all those. Oh, that was the same team. That was the same team. But you know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah. No, I get you. All right, let's move on to the Metro. So obviously Rangers, Capitals, Blue Jackets, Hurricanes, Islanders, Flyers, Devils, Penguins. I think let's say top 2 because it could be quite difficult to pick one. I think Rangers possibly top the division, and possibly the Canes.
You stole the words right out of my mouth. Those are my top 2.
Yeah, I think it's hard to pick.
Those teams have been good. They're gonna be good.
Yeah.
They're both really good teams.
Young teams.
I think they should both finish
top 2.
Top 2 for sure. 100%. I don't think that's
fighting. 100%.
Don't think that's the question there. I do have a surprise team. Philly, maybe might be, because like last year, I think they didn't do that great, obviously, but I think like everything that happened with Carter Harden, all that stuff, like they don't really have a goalie, but I don't know. Philly might be one of those surprise teams this year. I don't know. We'll see.
You know what? Like Columbus in the COVID year. Yeah, that's a possibility. Anything's possible.
Right?
We could get 70 wins. I doubt it, but we could. Please.
Maybe.
All right, so the Central, obviously Jets, Avalanche, Stars, Utah, Preds, Blues, Blackhawks, Wild.
Colorado.
Yeah. I think that was pretty
and
simple.
Dallas. Those are my 2, I think.
Ooh.
Yeah, I have Dallas.
I'm going to put Utah. No, I'm kidding.
Utah.
I'm kidding. I think I got Colorado definitely at 1. For me, it's a toss-up between Dallas and Winnipeg. Because I think Winnipeg's just always that team that they could just get you. They could always just get you. They'll always catch you.
Yeah, no, I agree.
How many times when you've seen them play Toronto, like 2-on-1s galore? They always just catch us. They just catch us.
It's always a fight against them.
Yeah,
It's always great games against them, actually.
Yeah, like they're really good games, but they're just that team that like they never give up. They'll always be fighting, and even if they're third, they're going to be fighting for first, right? So I could see them coming second.
Yeah, they're one of those surprise teams, but I think like, you know what? Winnipeg and like even Dallas, I think they're just like disrespected teams to an extent. Like especially Dallas. Like Dallas has been a great team, but they play in Dallas.
Yeah.
So no one gives them really the respect they deserve.
Yeah.
Because they have a really good team. Like Wyatt Johnson is a good player, man.
But he's not talked about enough.
But that's the thing. Like he's talked
so
about to an
crazy.
extent, but even like the rest of their team is good. Like okay, whatever. Jason Robertson.
Didn't he pot like 30, 40 goals last year?
I'm not 100%, but he's a hell of a player and he played good in the playoffs. But no, like a team like Dallas, cause it's just where they play, but they always do good. Like they're always a good team. That's why I have them second. Colorado's Colorado, but Dallas, I got Dallas second. I think I gotta give credit where credit is due. And let's turn this into a Dallas Stars podcast. No, I'm just,
I swear Wyatt Johnson played last year.
No, he did.
There's no stats
But-
popping up for him. That's weird.
I'm not sure.
But I know he killed it last year.
He was good.
So
Good, very good player.
yeah,
Very good
I
player.
could see them going. That's the top 3 in my opinion.
Yeah.
The top 2 is harder to determine. And finally, the Pacific. We got the Ducks, the Knights, the Kings, the Flames, the Oilers, the Kraken, and the shitty Sharks. Sorry to all you Sharks fans, but you know that.
The one or two that might find this podcast from just scrolling the internet. No,
Possibly.
I got ooh. This is a little bit of a
Hot take.
no.
'Cause I got a hot take.
You go first.
I think Edmonton comes 3rd.
Third.
Possibly wild card. Possible. Obviously, the wild card obviously depends on the Central as well.
Yeah.
But they started off horrible last year. Then they went to
Killed it.
finals, right? I just think that it's going to get to them. I just
Yeah.
think that they're going to start the season bouncing. They're going to cook the first 20 games. They're going to go like 15, 1-4. And then they're just going to have like a 15-game losing streak.
Well,
And
I thought I was gonna say they. Oh, a 15-game losing streak.
I think they're going to start.
Oh.
I think they're going to start the year great.
Hot
They're going to be
take,
like,
bing,
we
bing, bing.
we want to redeem ourselves and like
yeah,
show
and
people
just
that
show people
we didn't just get there just by luck, right?
Yeah.
We're a good team.
team. Yeah.
First 20 games, I could even see them like winning 15 of them genuinely and losing 4 of them in overtime. And then I just think they have a slump. I just think they have a not a whole season slump, not even a long season slump, but like a 15, 20 game slump, which then just hits them and
Yeah.
they can't get out of it. And as much as they might progress a little bit, I don't think they. Obviously, this is a hot take. I don't think they get higher than 3rd in the division. I think the Knights are going to be top.
Yeah. That's, I don't. It just the Knights happen.
Vancouver is another one like Winnipeg, where they're very scary if you actually look at them. On the outskirts, they don't look too,
Yeah.
thing. Okay, yeah, Quinn Hughes, Patterson, but when you actually look at them, their depth is really good. Like their depth is really, really good. I don't know why I'm whispering.
They got.
There's probably so much shit that hasn't been picked up on this, but their depth is really good. Like,
Yeah.
I could see them coming first, and I could see Vegas coming second, and then that leaves obviously the Oilers 3rd. Even the Flames. I'm kind of disrespecting the Flames a little bit, but they're not. They're not the best.
This is why I wanted you to go first with this, because this is a harder division for me, because there's not really like whatever, like Vegas has a hell of a team. Like Vancouver, we said like
There's no standouts.
They got but there's no one that really like. I think that's gonna be a fight for first. Like that's gonna be division that's a fight for first. Like we kind of picked our number ones and we kind of agreed on who's gonna finish first in the other divisions. But this one, it's like Vegas. Like I don't know what's going on with them. Like with the whole like Mark Stone thing and stuff like that. But if they are a healthy team, they got a hell of a team. But then you have like Vancouver, which like I like Vancouver. I know they don't really like Toronto too much, but I do
But
like
we like
your
your
team.
hockey team.
Yeah, we like your hockey
We
team.
think you're really good.
I have family in Vancouver, so.
I don't.
But no, I think no one expected them to do as good as they did last year. Because I remember like a couple of years ago, and to make this short, like they were gonna trade away like JT Miller, Besser, Pedersen. Like they were obviously they re-signed him, but even like all those names were up for grabs. I remember.
Yeah.
And now they did good in the playoffs. They had
Can't
a
even
great
trade for
season,
them.
and
Yeah,
and they're a
They're all
good
off
ass
the
team.
market,
So
yeah.
right. So it's kind of up in the air for me right now, but I just got to put Vegas and I actually changed it. I was gonna put Edmonton, but probably Vancouver now because I really like their team. So
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. Anything else you want to touch on?
no, I think
that's it.
that's it.
Thank you guys for joining us for the first episode of the Leaf the Lights On podcast. Make sure you go follow our socials at LTO_podcast on Instagram. And this is going to be out on YouTube hopefully in the coming days.
Thank you.
See you guys later.